All right. All right. Please note that a complimentary recording of this session is being made and will be available to you via email by the following Monday, though there is no guarantee of a successful and clear recording. It is my intention to sense information that may benefit you. Please understand information given is subject to my interpretation and is a personal opinion. To gain the most from your session, I ask that you remain open and receptive even if you disagree or dislike aspects of the reading. It is my job to stay objective, unbiased, and be direct and honest with what I sense. I cannot make assurances or guarantees of any kind, and am not liable for how you are impacted and wish to proceed with your choices. Events, circumstances, and timeframes may occur differently than predicted. Also understand that I am not a licensed medical doctor, counselor, attorney, or law enforcement official. For legal medical advice or treatment, please consult a licensed professional. If you do not connect with the reading within the first 10 minutes, then politely let me know. The session will end and I will process a full refund within 3 to 5 business days. Do you understand and agree?
I agree.
All right, so the way that I conduct my psychic readings is I spend some time before all of my appointments and I meditate and tune into your energy. And as I do that, I focus in on the 4 major areas of your life: your health and wellness, your finances, your career and work, and your relationships. Whatever thoughts, feelings, ideas, or perceptions that I have during that time, I go ahead and write them down. I try not to question them. I try not to analyze them. I just try to understand and to relay that back over to you. Sometimes I see bits and pieces. Sometimes I get full-blown scenarios. So I'm just a reporter. I'm just reporting back what I get. So I'm going to go over these 4 major areas now. Once I am done, then it's a free-for-all. You can ask me everything and anything you'd like to ask me, and nothing's off the table.
Okay.
Okay? All right. You ready?
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to start with the area of health and wellness. So when I tuned into health and wellness, the first place I was taken to was the nasal passageways going into the throat area, because I almost feel as if there may be some issues breathing sometimes, or you might have a deviated septum, but there's just this reduced airflow to the lungs, and I kept hearing wheezing, and I'm like, why am I hearing so much wheezing? So I was trying to figure out if something is affecting your air passageways, or if there's if something's affecting your air passageways, or if you just aren't breathing in enough through your nose, and sometimes you have to breathe through your mouth. So that was one thing that I was picking up on. Another thing that I was tuning into was I did feel this shoulder arm area here, but it was weird because I wanted to take it down to the elbow, and I was taking it down all the way to the elbow. I don't know if this was a tendonitis or if something was going on within the joint, but it felt more so on one side than on the other. So I felt like there was this weird sensation or weakness kind of feel here as well. I also did feel that you might have a predisposition to a type of arthritis, not like traditional arthritis, traditional arthritis where your hands start to kind of curve and you start having all these issues. I wasn't seeing that. This is a different type of arthritis. It's almost like this may affect specific tendon or joints or certain areas of the body. So there may be a predisposition for that. And so sometimes when the weather is changing, or sometimes when you're going through different types of experiences over time, you might start to develop weird soreness or inflammation around the joints. And it's just this weird type thing. The reason why I was seeing that was because I have a relative and she has to receive injections for her arthritis because it keeps it in check so that way her joints don't hurt. So I was seeing that. So I was like, okay. So just be aware of that. If it's not happening now, if it starts to happen as you get older, you might need to go see a doctor because they probably can do something before it becomes more of an issue than it needs to be. Okay. Another thing that I was tuning into was the lower back area. So I did feel some lower back sensitivity. I almost feel like it's the muscle linked with the spinal column. So it's part muscle, part bone. So it's almost like both are not, I kind of feel like it's misaligned, or there's a misalignment of that lower back area. So I just feel some of that there. You might need to see a chiropractic doctor for that because I don't think that's getting any better. I feel like that's only getting worse. So you might need to go to a doctor for that. Another thing I was tuning into was I did feel your blood sugar levels were erratic, and I think there's several different causes. I think one is you may be taking a supplement or some sort of medication that may be having an effect on your blood sugar levels, but also I think it is genetic. So I think there's some genetic factors involved with the blood sugar. So I feel like you need to keep an eye on that. Right now, you're younger, so it's not so much of an issue, but as you get older, you're going to start to see your blood sugar start to have more issues and more issues. So you just need to keep an eye on that. So there's that. Okay. I kept feeling my heart beating, and I feel like you might really struggle with anxiety, or you may have a tendency for anxiety because I kept feeling. So I kept feeling like, and I was like, "What is she doing? What is she?" And I kept doing that. So I was like, "Okay." So I was like, "Girl, she needs to calm down." I don't know if it's because of today or it's because of earlier, because I know you were having issues this morning. So I was like, "Okay." So I was thinking maybe it's just what's going on this morning, and that's all that there is. But I was
Hmm.
feeling like, so, and that's why I was also going into that like breathing issues and wheezing, because I was like, is she running somewhere? What is she doing? So, all right. And the last thing as far as health and wellness was you might have a predisposition to fibroids. Do you know what a fibroid is?
Yes.
Okay, so you might have a predisposition to fibroids. And I feel like it's one of those things that's just going to come up. You deal with it, it comes up, you deal with it, it comes up, you deal with it. So you might have to deal with it more than once, because I keep seeing you, in my mind, I keep seeing you going to the doctor and being frustrated because it's the same thing you've already had to deal with. And it's almost
Hmm.
like a repetitive issue. So just be aware of that. But aside from that, I wasn't seeing anything else with your finances. So we're going to go over to finances, to health and wellness. So we're going to go over to finances. Okay. So financially, I feel financially you're okay. You're not good, you're not bad, but you're okay. And I feel like it's things are going to kind of stay the same until summertime. Now, what's interesting is I do see some changes in your income level by June. So around June of this year, I feel that there are going to be some changes with your income levels. It's almost as if one source of income ends for you and another one begins. So I don't know if there's a contract change or an agreement, financial agreement with your income source of income at that time, but it's one ending, another one beginning around that June time period. I also felt there was going to be a dip period for you financially around July and August. So around July, August of this year, financially, you just start to, it's like a slope. So you might be having too many costs and expenses around that time, but you might also be spending too much money. But I think it's more costs and expenses. Like there's just a lot going on at the time, and you're trying to keep up with everything. There may also be a two vehicle situation that comes up around that July August time period. This is what gets interesting. So, whenever I see an additional vehicle and it's like I see money going to it, it could mean several things. It could mean that you stop using your primary vehicle and you're using a loaner. It could mean that you end up getting a secondary vehicle. It could mean that if you're with someone and it's dealing with their vehicle and you're helping with this process, but there's a secondary vehicle, because I didn't feel it was your main primary vehicle. I felt like it was the secondary. And I felt that July, August time period, there's costs and expenses that come up with this. Um, I also okay, so I also feel funds that may have been reserved or delegated for particular expenditures during that July timeframe for your living situation may either get used before that time comes, or may be reallocated to other things that come up before then, because I feel like there's something you're going to try to do that involves your living situation or home situation, and you're going to spend some money on this around July. And I feel like you are planning for this, but then some things may come up before then, and you just can't do it. So it's almost as if you have to replan that or have to rework the plan around that change with your living situation, or upgrade or updates, whatever this is with your living situation around the July period. And that has to get pushed a little bit, not too much, but a little bit. So there may also be travel to Colorado and Washington. What's interesting is Colorado. Normally, when I see Colorado, I see Denver or the mountains, the Rocky Mountains. In this case, I'm actually seeing skiing. So there may be some ski related trip to Colorado this year, and also Washington. I'm thinking it's Washington D.C. And not state is what I'm thinking. So there may be some travel to there as well. So that's what I was seeing with finances, career, and work. So when I tuned into your career and work situation, I feel that there may be a job change or adjustment about that June time period. So I'm feeling the reason why there's money changing around June is because your job situation may be changing at that time. You may, and what's interesting is around that time there may be two jobs or two programs or two projects, but there's this like intersection between two things going on at the same time around that June time. So it's there's just overlap between and a transition from one to the other. So that's around that June time period. I also feel your title or role and position may be changing. I feel like you're still doing the same thing, but under a different system or under a different setup. So it's as if you would be working under a different system or setup at that time once the change happens. I'm also seeing this organization change that may. So this is not necessarily with you, but with the organization that you be aligned with as far as working career. I'm seeing this change with the organization where it's as if they had this idea to change their system or the way they operate or what they focus on as a company or organization, and then they decide that that was a bad move, and then it's almost like they have to go back to what they were doing before, but in a better way. So there's this weird change with the organization. So I feel like you might be like get caught up in the middle of that, where this organization is trying to do things one way, they change that, and then they got to go back to what they were doing because what they were trying to get done or what they were trying to accomplish in the changes didn't really work out for them. So I was seeing that there. I also feel you may have started on a path or particular direction with your career initially, but then you had to make some changes, and then I feel there is a return back to that option. So you had an original view for yourself as far as career. There was a specific direction you were going to go down, and then life came up, and things just happened, and you got involved in other things, and so you pulled away from that. But I feel like you're going to go back to that. That's going to become more of a priority again for you. So you're going to just get back in alignment with that original direction. Um, you may consider a return or more education, training, certification, etc., but feel this may become delayed or pushed back because of life circumstances. So I keep seeing you like, well, I'm gonna finish at this point, or I'm gonna go back and do this, and I'm gonna go back. But every time you plan, it's as if the planning's not aligned properly, or you're planning for when this is supposed to start up again, doesn't, and then you push it back. But there is this attempt to go back and do more schooling, training, certification, but you're adding to your skill set, so you have more that you can work with there. This does feel to come up and is become solid, meaning that you do pursue this within 3 years. So I feel like that's going to come up within that 3 year period. There may also be an agreement about this as well, meaning that you. Now, this is where relationship comes up, because this is what I was saying. I did see you getting involved in this relationship with someone where it's as if y'all were going to take turns focusing on your own goals. So the way I was seeing that was that I have a friend and her husband. Actually, I have a couple. The couple was my friend, and what happened was he went to school, he went into law, and then he finished with all of that, established his practice, and then he supported her while she went back to school and did whatever she wanted to do with all of that. So they actually traded off and helped each other out through that period. So I was actually seeing something like that coming up for you as well in regards to relationship. So that takes us into relationship, where I am seeing a partnership-like situation for you within a 1.5 to 2 year period. So I am seeing you getting involved with somebody that is going to feel like a partnership, meaning that you're both kind of on the same level, you both have the same mentality, you both have the same drive, and you're going to help each other get to your own goals. So I did see that kind of relationship coming up for you. My sense is that you may become involved with someone. If it's not already happened, it should be coming, like I said, within a year, 1.5, or 2 years. Set up, what is it? My sense is that you may become involved with someone, or it's already set up, and then it may go into a settled period for a while, meaning that when people get into relationships, sometimes there's a lot of passion at first. In the beginning, they're all like, oh, I love you, you're all crazy about each other, but then after a little while, it kind of settles and starts to flatline, and I feel like the connection with this person starts to flatline for a while, but I still see it going on for a period of time. So it flatlines for a while, but I just think there's just a lot going on, and that's why it flatlined. So settled, meaning that the excitement of being over, yeah. You may not have the tools necessary at that time to deal with that flatlining thing. It's more of a just give it some time, because I think after some time it'll kind of work itself out of the issues. It'll work itself as an issue out of the relationship. So I don't think it'll be always an issue. I also feel that there may be conflicting schedules regarding your roles and responsibilities and theirs. So what you have to worry about and consider and focus on, they also have other things they've got to worry about, and your schedules seem to conflict, or there's just really a lot of I won't say confusion, but there's some challenges trying to coordinate efforts and trying to be on the same page regarding the goals. So even though you and this person, as far as energetically, as far as relationship-wise, may be on the same level, I think when it comes to connecting and really interacting with each other and spending time with each other, there's going to be some conflict or some timing issues there. I also feel that this may increase, between July and October of this year, I did feel a rough patch with relationship in your life. So around that July-October period this year, can you hear me?
Yes, give me one moment. I'm so sorry.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
Thank you so much. Okay.
Okay, so between July and October, I did feel that there was going to be a little bit of a disconnect or a rough patch in a relationship. So I did feel this year, around that time, there would be a disconnect happening or some sort of a rough period within a relationship dynamic. So there may be less time together. There may be more of a distance factor. Sometimes distance actually means physical distance, and I kind of confuse the two from time to time. But there is a bit of a distance factor around that time. I also feel that this individual around that July-October period, they may have other issues outside of your relationship that may warrant their attention. So possibly from a previous connection or obligations or responsibilities that were created by a previous circumstance as with relationships or whatnot. So that may come up and cause some interference there. But even then, I still feel like they'll still be focused on this one, but they just may have to deal with other issues outside of this relationship, and that's just going to become interference. So that July, October, a little bit of a rough patch, but I think it'll be okay. I am seeing a merged home, so there may be family built from up from previous relationships, meaning that when you become involved with someone in romance, I feel like they either have already been in a serious relationship or married, or you may have already been in a serious relationship or married, and there's just the merging of the homes. There may even be a child associated with this, because I am seeing the merging of two homes. So I feel like that may come up as well. So that's what I'm seeing in regards to relationships. Now, what questions do you have? And you can ask me whatever you want.
I wrote some down.
Oh, good.
I wrote down, what changes do I need to make right now to attract success?
Okay. So I think one of the big things you need to do is you need to get focused, because I think I like your question. Let me go back to the career thing. What is this original path that you started on? You didn't finish.
So I originally got my degree in psychology.
Okay.
And so I was doing stuff like that, like social work, things like that.
Okay.
But those student loans kicked in.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I got stuck in a cubicle, essentially.
Okay.
But the thing is, it was just a big shift, like from what I was hired to do, ended up doing something totally different and got caught in the crossfire of that.
Right.
That ended up getting laid off.
Right.
So, and this was only like about 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
And so now I'm looking to get back
into that direction, the psychology direction.
Exactly. Like, or even just helping like NGOs.
Right.
Stuff like that.
Now, was there some sort of certification with that you didn't finish or that you didn't complete or take yet?
Okay. I did finish my degree, my original degree, but I wanted to go back just so it would have extra, I guess, certification.
Right. Okay. Because I feel like I do see you doing that, but I feel like that's gonna you keep putting that on the back burner. So okay. So I do see you going in that direction. Here's what's interesting. So essentially, you want to be a counselor. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But not a counselor like I'm there to like clean up your mess. Counselor like I'm there to walk you through your healing. Right?
Yes.
Okay. So I think there's a couple of things that you're going to become involved in over the next few years, and then I'm going to answer your question. Okay. So. First thing is, I think that within the next 2 years, I think that you're going to start to approach psychology or counseling from an online platform, meaning that most people, they have a brick and mortar or they have their suites or their offices. I feel like you're going to try to approach it from an online platform where you're connecting with people online and trying to do something there. Not only in this way, like what we're doing right now, but also possibly blogging or vlogging or something like that. So you're smiling. So obviously,
I just created a vlog.
Good, exactly. And what is the focus for that?
It's actually, that one's more like travel.
Okay.
But it has some elements of like law of attraction.
Got it. Okay. So here's what's interesting. So there's so many LOAs out there, a law of attraction people out there. There's so many what I think is going to happen is you're going to try to focus on your ability to connect with yourself and how you deal with several different issues in your life. And I think it's going to be less of a travel and law of attraction and more about your personal experience, because there are so many people who are out there who are gurus, but you really connect with people who are one of us, who they're on the same page as we are. They've gone through similar struggles. So I think that that's going to eventually, and over a 2-year period, going to morph and turn into what I'm describing. So what life right now, the universe, what your guides are trying to help you do is trying to get set up with this online platform, and then it's going to mold into what you need it to be. But you are going back to school, because I do see you getting certified, because it's better to say I've got this degree, but I'm also certified as a such and such. That way you use it as a bouncing off place to move forward into other things. So I feel like you're headed in the right direction. Keep up, but you need to get focused, because you might have several ideas that are going to come out. What's happening is you're aligning with your energy centers are lining up, and you're beginning to flow or channel through like creativity and all of that stuff. So you're going to start to get on some sort of a creativity kick where you're going to want to do a lot of different things. And I feel like you need to get very focused and stay on the path, because if you start to get
Okay.
distracted, you're going to go everywhere, and then you're not going to get anything accomplished. Just like, I'm trying to take 15 different steps at the same time, but they're in different directions. Why am I not moving anywhere, Fernie? Well, honey, like, stop moving everywhere. Just walk directly in front of you and put all those 15 feet or steps in that direction, and you'll get a lot further along. And that's what you need to worry about.
Okay. Okay. And let me see what else I had. So what does the universe want me to know right now? Are there anything I should be looking out for, essentially?
So right now, I think, it's interesting because I also feel like you're going through a period where you're isolating yourself, or you're kind of getting away from people and kind of spending more time with yourself. And I think that's life's way of trying to help you reconnect with your energy, because you don't want to keep being influenced by others and what their issues are. It doesn't mean that people are evil and you need to stay away because they're going to, they're going to ruin your life. It just means that people have a lot of junk. People have a lot of stuff that they deal with that they're having to put forward. And I think what's happening is that, you're really intuitively, you're like, I need to stay focused on me. I need to stay focused on me. So you're disconnecting people and you're kind of pulling away from others. So things are going to come up, and it's going to be like bait. You're going to be baited by people, by events, to get focus on other people's stuff. Like this morning, get focused on other people's stuff. And I feel like what you need to do is focus more on you and learn to say no. Another thing that you need to do is to learn to say no.
Yes.
Because you say yes too often. It's great to be a counselor. It's great to be the go-to person for people, but it doesn't help you if you're not benefiting from it. Also, if you're not really getting anywhere in your life with that. So you're just being used by others.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then there's another one I had.
Just question: did the lower back issues? What was going on there?
That I don't know. Okay, yeah, I've been having lower back, like just more like an ache. When you kind of have to like pop your back, it's more like that type of thing.
Okay,
it's nothing super painful.
Right.
It's just annoying, like not comfortable.
So two things about that. As you get older, it might become even more of a prominent ache for you, because I don't think it's just a back, like a back spinal column issue. I think it is. There's something going on with the muscles and how they're aligned with that part of the back. So if it continues, go to a chiropractic doctor. But also, people who have lower back pain, whenever we're dealing with things in life, everything in life is symbolic and represents something in our bodies. So our bodies may take on some of those issues. Lower back represents you're carrying too many people on your back, and it's starting to buckle. So you've got too many people's weights that you're trying to concern yourself with, too many people's problems.
Okay. And then I've also been having, I have been having more like a neck issue as well, but I think I just sleep really
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird because I felt like I was like this, and I was like, why is
right
it
in here?
Yeah, exactly. And so that's why. And if you start to feel it in the elbow, it's not necessarily down here; it's coming up here. So it's almost like this is starting to pull on this. So just be aware of that. Yeah.
Okay. And what is that symbolic of, by any chance?
That's symbolic of maybe you probably. That's symbolic of you probably messed up your shoulder or you slept wrong. That's symbolic of. Yeah.
And then I thought it was really funny that you mentioned the whole nasal passage, because today I woke up like nasally and like horrible.
Oh yeah.
Like just today.
Yeah.
I woke up like feeling congested. Yeah. Not so good.
Yeah.
Today.
There's something building up in there, and so it's just kind of clogging. So you so you might have to breathe through your mouth because it's just not going through. Yeah.
That's exactly what happened. Now, I did have another question. So I've been having trouble with a family member lately, and like I just don't know what that signifies. Like, is there something I need to know or learn from that?
You need to learn to stand your ground.
Okay.
Because I think that you're used to bending, and I think it's getting time that you don't bend anymore. So you're gonna have to stand your ground. I think this person, they're really needy. They really need a lot of validation. Okay. So I also feel like they blame others for their responsibilities, and they're not
Hmm.
taking full responsibility for themselves. So I think some of this is going to, and they also might tend to be judgmental as well, or a little bit of critical. So I think that's going to continue to be an issue. That's not going away. So you might either need to stand your ground and start to set boundaries, or just get over it and deal with it because it's going to keep being that way. So you might just need to set some boundaries, which is what I think the lesson is: set boundaries and make sure that you stand your ground.
And how do you suggest doing that? Just out of curiosity.
Locally, I, if you were me, I don't have a problem standing my ground at all. I know people ask me, Ferny, can you help me move? And I'm like, no, I'm busy. I'm busy focusing on me today. And they're like, but that's not doing it. I'm like, yeah, it is. At this moment, my health is more important than me helping you move. So, but you can borrow my truck, or here, I'll give you who the great movers are in the town. But you need to kind of, honestly, you can do it naturally by just pulling away or giving it some space.
Okay.
And then when you're asked to participate, if it doesn't suit you, just say no.
And that's what I've been doing now.
Exactly. And they're gonna get trained to operating differently. Okay. I used to have family members that I interacted with a whole lot, and I don't anymore because it wasn't benefiting me. And honestly, it was just causing me pain. And so I just pulled away. And now, and even though they started to hate me over time because they're like, well, he thinks he's stuck up, or he's full of himself because he's not spending time with us or whatever. It's not that. It's just that my sanity and my health are more important. And over time, they actually learned to respect me. And so now when I go back into those situations, I approach it differently, and they do respect my time because they know that they're not going to get a lot of me if they act the way they used to. So,
okay, good to know. What I did want to ask you about is relationships.
mm-hmm.
I am kind of in this long distance thing with a guy in Europe. I met him when I was in Europe.
That's the physical disconnect. Okay, got it.
That's the physical. That's
yeah.
And it's been like traveling back and forth.
Yeah.
Him here in the States, and now I'm going next week and being with his family. Where do you see that going? Because I feel like we're totally different people.
Yeah.
Which isn't bad. It's just different for us both, I think.
Yeah. So, trying to figure out. Is he very focused on career as well, or his work situation? Because I feel like on that level, you both may actually be on the same level, except you, he's more structured and you're not. So I feel there's a lot more structure to him. So you might feel sometimes inadequate. Don't feel that way because that's not for you to feel that way. So don't feel like, oh, well, he's got a leg up because of that, but then I need to get my shit together, all of that other stuff. But I feel, I actually think you complement each other pretty well. I feel like you might actually complement each other pretty well just because you're a little more free spirited, and I feel like he's a little more like monotone and like flat, so I feel like you actually may complement each other pretty well. I don't feel this is a bad connection, and I do feel that he is invested in this working, but like I said, he's got other things and other priorities that are gonna, not only that, but I do see him moving to the States at some point. So I do feel that there is gonna be a move for him that may benefit y'all. So that's interesting. And it's funny because I feel like y'all maybe discussed or talked about you going over there, but I see the opposite happening. I feel like life's going to actually bring him here a lot sooner than you would anticipate or expect. So I feel like give it a little while because I don't think this is bad connection. It's just going to take a little time. Plus, honestly, if you were closer, you would be very consumed by the relationship and you wouldn't be able to focus in on your career because you need to get that under control or under control or in order. So I think you've got some time to do that before you go ahead and start putting more energy and time into a relationship. So I think at the moment it is working, even though it's kind of not ideal, but I don't think it's a bad connection. But there's that settled feeling and it's a flat line. So just give it some time. But I do see a more of a disconnect around that July, October time period. Yeah, there is more of a disconnect around the July, October time period. So around that time, you might be butting heads a lot more, or you may actually go through a period where you guys are reconsidering the relationship altogether. But I think you'll get through it. I don't think it's gonna stop you from pursuing this. But give it a little bit of time. It might take a year and a half before this starts to get more solid.
Okay.
Yeah.
I may have answered that one. I wonder, I'll ask you anyways and see what you think about it. But it's basically, what gifts should I be pursuing? Like what am I good at, basically? Because I
Yeah.
feel like I don't know. I feel like other people always know.
Yeah. So I'm going to get very practical because I don't want to give you an airy fairy answer and then you're like, okay, what the hell am I supposed to do with that? You know, it's like, oh, you're very creative. What the hell do I do with that? So first of all, I think that you're very empathic, meaning that you have a tendency of feeling other people's emotions and pains. That is a gift. It's also a curse because a gift because you can tune in and understand the pain they're going through, the situation, and help them with it. It's a curse because you always feel like you're supposed to go in there and fix it. So I feel like that you need to stop trying to fix other people or trying to help the situation. And it's not like you're Mrs. Fix It where you go in and try to fix everybody's, but you feel more responsible for others than you should, and you need to work on just sympathizing or empathizing with them and then giving them any tools that they can use to help themselves and then backing away. And that's something that I've actually had to learn myself because many years ago I used to help people, be there for people, give them the opportunity to rise up to their potential, and they didn't take advantage of it, and I just stuck by them through all of that, and it was a waste of my time and effort, and I should have just dropped their asses at the first moment that I realized they really weren't going to do anything. So
Mm-hmm.
you need to kind of get real clear on that. At some point, you are going to ride. Now, I know you said you started a vlog or blog.
A blog. I'm so
Okay,
sorry.
so you're going to do both. You're going to do vlogging and blogging, meaning that you're going to talk on camera, but you're also going to do writing, more writing related stuff. But I think the writing has more to do with like I said, your own personal journey and what you feel and how you connect to today's issues and so forth in that way, and trying to find yourself in all of that. Writing is a gift. So I will put that there. I feel like writing is one of your gifts. Being empathic is another one of your gifts. Um, You're also a really good mediator because if you're not part of the problem and you've got two parties, you're really good at communicating between the two parties and helping them understand each other. So that's another one of your gifts. So any kind of work, anything you throw yourself into where you're kind of mediating or helping that's going to be a gift for you. So that's where I would send you in the direction of.
Perfect. I
Yeah.
was actually thinking about getting a certification in conflict studies
Good,
too.
exactly. Good, good. So I feel like
Yes.
that's because what I was seeing when I was saying that was I saw an episode of Star Trek where there's an ambassador and they're helping to communicate in a round table because there's too many people having issues and they're trying to communicate across between the two parties. So that's what I was seeing. So that's good. Later on down the road, you might actually get involved in something, and this is later on down the road. This is about 7 or 8 years from now. There may be some political or government related stuff that you may get involved in that utilizes what you're currently trying to work on.
And that sounds like it goes in line with the NGO aspect of me wanting to kind of
Yeah,
do that
yeah,
as
exactly.
well.
Yeah,
Okay, that'll work. Um, and then do you see me having children
I
in the
do. I
future?
see you having. So I see two with an option for a third, which means I do see you having two children. I think you're going to have two of one sex and then one of the other. So I'm assuming the first two might be girls, but don't quote me on that because that's not my strong suit. But I think the first two are girls, and then there's an option for a third that would be a boy. When I see option for a third, it means it could, it couldn't. It just depends on the circumstances at that time and what you do. But I feel like there's an option for a third. You're about 5 years away from kids. Yeah,
Okay.
and you are going to have them back to back, so they would be literally like right on top of each other.
Oh wow.
Hmm.
Okay. Okay. I think those are all the questions that I had. Is there
Great.
anything you think I should know besides what you told me?
Let's see. Anything else that you should know? Yeah, it's funny because I'm seeing bland walls behind you, but you are kind of a color freak, and I'm like, why isn't she expressing herself in color? It's funny because I'm like, there's bland walls behind you, but you're not a color. You're
This
not.
isn't my space. That's
Oh,
why.
got it. Okay, cool. Because
Yes.
I'm seeing you surrounded by color. Like when I look at you, I keep seeing, the bohemian kind of like Indian colorful looking. That's what I keep seeing. So I'm like, why am I seeing her in a bland space? So
I literally have like Buddhas and everything,
that
like in
yeah,
the
because I was
tons
like,
of color.
yeah, because I was like, this is not her space. So, all right, my dear. Well, it was an absolute pleasure reading for
Yes.
you. I wish you the very, very best. Please take care of yourself. Remember, this was recorded. I'll get that over to you by Monday. And also, you're going to get an email. It's going to ask about your session. Any feedback or review you give would be greatly appreciated.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. All right, sweetie. Well, you take care.
You too.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.